Вітаю, з вами Олесь Гарджук і уся команда
I'm Олесь
UATV.
Гарджук and the team of UATV. We are broadcasting from Toronto because a very important event is taking place here. It's a conference dedicated to the Ukrainian reforms. And we, our channel, together with the Agri-Team channel, have launched a special series of interviews so that you will be able firsthand to learn to what extent the reforms of the Ukraine are effective and what results could we expect by the end of this year. Today, we are going to discuss the reform of decentralization using the example of Trostianets amalgamated community. And my guest in the studio is Yuriy Bova, the head of this territorial amalgamated community. Welcome to the studio. Let us start a discussion, but prior to that, let us look at your community and your economy, and let us watch a short video together with our viewers.
Отож, пане Юрію, ваша громада відносно...
Your community is temporary young. It has been created 18 months ago. And, well, this is a short period of time, 18 months only. And what changes have you attained? Our objective when we were creating this community to launch the economy in our territory. Because a lot of functions to manage the schools, medical centers, sports centers were carried out by the Rayon State Administration. And the community was deprived of the opportunity to properly manage this property and the assets. So we had a very limited budget. And actually, if we are talking about the situation prior to the amalgamation, we had a very limited budget of development. We had 26 million hryvnia of own revenues, and also with the subsidies for the kindergartens, it was 46 million hryvnia. But now our budget is almost 200 million hryvnia, and 100 million hryvnia are our own revenues from the taxes of private persons. And the more people are employed in the community, the higher the revenues to the budget of the territorial community are going to be. So the reform is a very good impetus for the development of the community. And as soon as the law was passed, we offered the rural areas, which are located next to our town, to amalgamate all of them. Let us change the country, let us change the cities, and let us change our community. And only 4 villages, 2 councils have joined us. But now we can see the difference. 19 objects of social cultural sphere was accepted by us from the Rayon State Administration. We have audited them, and we started the transformation in these objects already. We are going to discuss them a little bit later, but you've also mentioned the amalgamation of the 4 villages. Only 4 villages decided to join you. Now, we were talking about your community, which is only 18 months old, but the decentralization reform was launched 4 years ago. It means that people had access to information to see that the reform is effective and it yields the results, and the money is left in the communities, and things change there. Why only 4 villages were ready to amalgamate? I understand that there was resistance, wasn't there? Resistance? Well, if we ask people who live in the rural areas whether there are no quality roads, transit is poor, where there are no schools and good sports facilities, people really vote for the amalgamation. But there are civil servants and the heads of the villages who don't want to amalgamate. They would like to continue managing the communities, get good salaries, and have a influence over the territory, and they are trying to slow down the reform. So the heads of the villages were against the amalgamation. Yes, that's true. Even in the villages which amalgamated with us were against that. But people who would like to have changes, and if they persuade their councillors to vote for the amalgamation, we can see a very positive results. Two heads of the communities have amalgamated with us, and they are not regretting that. Even within 18 months, which is a short period of time, a lot of things have changed. Now there are bus transportation. Also, the libraries are being repaired. Also, the lighting, street lighting is being repaired. Also, the water supply system is being repaired. I can give you a very long list of very positive changes, things which are being carried out in the villages within the 18 months of its existence. If there would not be a resistance, we could have even attain even more impressive changes in the rural areas. What people would like to have now in the villages of Sumy Oblast, which have not amalgamated, well, do not see the development. They have to exercise pressure on the councillors in their villages and to exercise pressure on the heads of the villages to amalgamate. So why don't you share your experience, how these people who amalgamated with you were able to persuade their heads of the communities? We have carried out a lot of meetings, and people were afraid. They were scared that the school is going to be closed and the kindergarten is going to be closed, that the cities are going to take over their social infrastructure, and we will have only one councillor in the city, and he or she will not be able to change anything. But I was explaining, we are not going to close these social infrastructure objects, but we are going to rehabilitate them. People wanted the bus transportation, and it cost us 1 million hryvnia, but we launched this route. And this bus is taking people from the village which is further away from this center, Kamenetsky village. It is 26 kilometers away from this center. So the passengers are being transported to the village. Each old woman or man who have a card of the resident of the amalgamated community has a right to travel free of charge by bus, and they can do it several times a day. So are the drivers transporting these passengers free of charge? Oh, yes, they do. We have carried 86,000 passengers free of charge, those who have privileges. If the state guaranteed the people that they have a right to fearless trips, so we have to guarantee that. And they now the people who live in our community have this privilege to travel fearless. So one of the problems is to pay the bills for municipal services, for heating. People were afraid of villages, and at present we carry out reform of energy efficiency in Ukraine, but maybe on the basis of the amalgamated community. There are more tools to actually improve the infrastructure and to improve the heating. I have been working as the head of the city for 16 years. At the beginning of my career, I saw that there is a crisis in the heating system, and especially boiler houses are very inefficient. And we decided that in each building, in each house of the member of our community would have their own heating equipment. We decentralized the heating, and they save on gas consumption, and they regulate the temperature in their buildings themselves, and they turn on the heating when they consider it fit for them. And this is cheaper, it's more safer for the people, and the gas is being saved, and the heat is not being wasted. And in the housing stock, and there are thousands of apartments also are being heated individually. And at present, we have a decentralized system of heating in the municipal objects. We also invest a lot of money to insulate the buildings and to change the window frames to save the financial resources. We are now rehabilitating one of the hospitals, and now we are financing it from our own budget. And people needed the provision of quality medical services. So now we put it in our books. It's our property now. We actually have now the owners of the system of primary service delivery of the medical services. And if we properly insulate the buildings, we can save 2 million hryvnia per year if we insulate the buildings. And this will be possible to rehabilitate the buildings, to rehabilitate the wards for the patients. And there are toilets and water supply in the patients' wards. And the changes which you have implemented within 18 months are really very impressive. I am very much impressed, and I hope that our listeners and viewers also have formed a positive impression about this discussion. Unfortunately, our time is up, but I would like to thank you very much for a lot of information which you provided during this meeting. Thank you for coming here. And this is Yuriy Bova. This is the head of the Trostianets amalgamated community and the Trostianets mayor. And please stay with us with UATV, and we stay in Toronto to find out how efficient and effective the Ukrainian reforms are.